On the afternoon of August 17, Faye was spotted at Guangzhou Airport returning to Bangkok. Despite her casual look, she still stood out, wearing jeans, sunglasses, and a sweet pastel pink knit sweater from the Vietnamese local brand Hades. But this wasn't just any fashion choice. The pink sweater quickly sparked a heated discussion among fans. Why? Because it's the twin version of the white sweater gifted to Faye by Vietnamese fans at her fan meeting in late June. What made it even more memorable was that Faye wore the white one at the airport the very next day, a gesture that touched fans, showing how much she appreciated the gift. And that's not all. At Yoko's birthday concert on July 26, Vietnamese fans gifted her the pink version of the same sweater. That led to a wave of speculation. Could it be that today, Faye is wearing Yoko's sweater? Some of Faye's fans argued that the pink sweater was actually bought by Pam, using a photo of a shopping bag containing a similar-looking sweater as evidence. However, sharp-eyed netizens quickly pointed out a key detail. The sweater in Pam's bag had a black trim, while the one Faye wore had a white trim, the exact version gifted to Yoko by Vietnamese fans. Is this a hint? Or just a cute coincidence? After all, it wouldn't be the first time Faye and Yoko have been spotted wearing matching items, from clothes to jewelry. Fans have picked up on it all. Faye has also mentioned before that whenever she likes something, she tends to buy 5, 6 of the same item in different colors, so it's entirely possible that she ordered this herself. Either way, fans today got a free dose of Adelulu to brighten their day. Faye dragged into controversy. Obsessed fan tries to whitewash herself, uses Faye as a shield after making offensive remarks about Yoko. TAMK, a well-known fan in Faye's fandom, often seen attending most of her fan meetings and admired for her loyalty, is now at the center of a major controversy. Her once respected image has taken a serious hit after a private message of hers was leaked on Weibo. In the leaked message, TAMK made a shocking and deeply offensive remark about Yoko. "This ugly thing always gives me the vibe of someone who's been selling in a brothel for years despite being young." This crude insult was clearly aimed at Yoko and has sparked widespread outrage among Yobis and couple fans who support Faye and Yoko. The backlash was swift, with many condemning the comment and demanding accountability. What seemed like a typical fan dispute took a more serious turn following Faye's fan meeting in Guangzhou. During the one-on-one session with Faye, TAMK later shared this statement. During the interview, the baby suddenly said, "I saw those things on X, don't worry, you are amazing." According to TAMK, this meant that Faye had seen the criticisms posted by other fans, possibly Yobis or couple fans, attacking TAMK on X after her offensive remark toward Yoko was exposed. TAMK interpreted Faye's words, "Don't worry, you are amazing," as a comforting message and a form of recognition, implying that Faye still viewed her as a good fan and didn't see anything wrong with her actions or words. This has left many fans confused and uneasy. It raises an important question. Does Faye truly know the full extent of what happened, including the fact that TAMK publicly insulted Yoko with deeply degrading language on Weibo? This incident has pushed tensions between different fan groups to a boiling point. According to TAMK's version of events, Faye not only failed to condemn the act of insulting another artist, but even indirectly called the person responsible amazing. For many fans, especially those who have always believed Faye to be fair, respectful, and professional, this is deeply disappointing and unacceptable. From just one small detail in a private conversation, an entire wave of controversy has erupted, placing Faye in a highly sensitive position, even though it's entirely possible she had no idea about the full extent of TAMK's toxic comments online. One of the key issues that has angered the fan community is the two-faced behavior TAMK displayed across two different social media platforms, Weibo and X. On Weibo, where most Chinese fans are active, TAMK made harsh, offensive remarks directly targeting Yoko. However, when posting on X, where a large international fanbase follows Faye, TAMK portrayed a completely different image, a supportive, loving fan who adores Faye wholeheartedly, never once acknowledging her toxic behavior or past controversies. This stark contrast between her online personas has led many to believe that TAMK is deliberately whitewashing herself, trying to play the victim to gain sympathy from the international fandom. Especially after facing backlash for her offensive statements about Yoko. It didn't stop there. When some fans began questioning the situation, pointing out that Faye is known to be a fair and respectful person who would never say something that appeared to support someone like TAMK. who had insulted another artist, TAMK quickly responded by uploading a video of her one-on-one conversation with Faye. However, what stood out, and raised further suspicion, was that TAMK deliberately muted the audio of the actual conversation, replaced it with background music, and added her own English subtitles based on what she claimed Faye had said. The subtitle added by TAMK read, "Okay. I actually saw some comments on X, don't overthink it." This act made the entire interaction unverifiable. With no original audio and no concrete proof, there is no way to confirm whether Faye actually said those words. The manipulation has only deepened the controversy and cast more doubt on TAMK's intentions. The truth behind the controversy, is Faye being used to cover up toxic behavior? The truth about what Faye actually said during that one-on-one conversation is now known only to two people, Faye and TAMK. However, by intentionally muting the audio and replacing it with self-written subtitles, TAMK has sparked suspicion that she may be manipulating public opinion, twisting the truth to hide her toxic past. Faye has always been known for her kindness and empathy. In sensitive situations, she often chooses to comfort others rather than cause conflict. So, if during the Guangzhou fan meeting, she genuinely said to TAMK, "Don't worry, you are amazing," after seeing that she was being attacked online, that would be understandable. Faye might have simply seen a sad fan and wanted to offer support. She had no way of knowing that TAMK had previously made vile, hateful remarks about Yoko on Weibo. But once people began questioning whether Faye, a person known for fairness and professionalism, could have really said such words, TAMK uploaded a muted video of the conversation, replacing the audio with her own interpretation and subtitles. By removing the original sound and adding only her version of what was said, TAMK rendered the clip unverifiable, turning it into a one-sided tool to sway public opinion. What's more concerning is that she cleverly used Faye's image as a shield, a way to whitewash her own actions and present herself as a misunderstood victim. Meanwhile, Faye is left to shoulder the consequences, now being accused of supporting someone who once insulted Yoko. But anyone who has followed Faye long enough knows, she has never spoken ill of anyone, let alone endorsed those who hurt her colleagues. In fact, Faye was the one who quietly sent her personal team to support Yoko during the Hong Kong fan meeting, a gesture that clearly shows she protects those who need it, without making a show of it. That's why trying to paint Faye as someone who sides with a toxic person who attacked Yoko is not only baseless, it's deeply unfair. The person at fault here is not Faye, but the one exploiting her kindness to cover up their own wrongdoings. I truly believe Faye will always support her fans, especially when she feels they're being unfairly treated. That's who she is. But this compassion only applies when she doesn't know the full story, and especially not when it involves someone who has shown toxicity toward Yoko. If Faye knew the truth, I have no doubt that she would never condone or defend anyone who causes harm to Yoko, because for Faye, protecting Yoko has always been unconditional, and she has never done or said anything disrespectful toward her. On the other hand, I can no longer place any trust in TAMK. Her recent actions show a deliberate effort to manipulate the narrative, to play the victim and gain sympathy, when in fact, she was the one who started it all. No one can accurately guess what Faye said based on lip reading alone, especially when she speaks Thai, and the interpreter was translating into Chinese, a completely different language. So claiming that Faye defended her based on a silent clip is entirely unfounded. As fans, it's natural to want to protect your idol. But if you claim to love Faye while being toxic toward Yoko, her colleague who has always treated her with respect, then that's no longer pure love, but selfishness. Faye and Yoko have always shown mutual respect. So let's choose to support them in a way that's independent, positive, and fair, not by hurting the other in order to protect the one we love. That's what true fans should do.